Dear colleague, friends, sisters and brothers, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope that you are living a very comfortable life, wherever you are, whenever you are. May Allah bring peace and tranquility to you. Ameen. Last week, I had a very serious discussion with one of my heroine, Sister Shahin, who told me that in her group, more than 200-300 women, very depressed, very upset, very demoralized, what they have been seeing over the last 10 months of the impact of climate change, which brought at least 3 earthquakes, one in Syria and Turkey, one in Morocco, one in Afghanistan, and one storm and flooding in Derna, Libya. Then another armed conflicts. 2. One is in Sudan and one now is in Gaza. They cannot take it. This claimed the life of more than nearly 100,000 people because we don't know yet how many people were killed by the storm in Libya and how many people disappeared during that storm, Daniel. Anyway, and this cost humanity or these countries hundreds of billions of dollars, unfortunately. She said what to do. As she's my heroine, she told me, let us write something to make them stronger. I said, okay, fine, I'll write something. I wrote something, then later on, I found this is not suitable. I changed it a day ago, or a day and a half ago, and make it about optimism. 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 And I put about 30 definitions of optimism, my own definition. And this is my call to you, young people. Use the definition of others, but create your own definition. The definition that will reflect your belief, your value, your history, your culture, your philosophy of thinking, and your ideology as well. I'm not saying not to use the other definitions, but create your own definition as well. So let us start with responding to my heroine, Sister Shahin. What is optimism? Optimism for me is a compelling duty on every human being, believing or non-believer, that Allah has created him or her to construct life on earth and to worship him. Whether they worship him or not is something different. Optimism is the origin of life that we need to construct its ways for our society, our generation, and generations to come. Optimism is a tool that we can use to uplift the tyranny and the oppression on the oppressed people. Optimism is a mean will make us or bring us behind one leadership. Optimism is a way that we have to build, like a road that we have to build, through which dreams of generations to come and hopes of other nations will cross through that road. Optimism is a path or an exit where we receive from it the principle of justice, freedom, equality, and brotherhood. Optimism is a guide for us to differentiate and make a distinction between our enemies and our friends. Optimism is a secret that Allah put inside it the essence of the principles of love, compassion, and care and mercy. Optimism is a breeze that millions of people rise to the sky to have it to fill their chest, because inside this breeze will be the seeds of life, urge, energy, response, and positivity. Optimism is this kind of nostalgic feeling that the mother will have since she has been waiting for years for her little children to come back. Optimism is mercy as well, that Allah will descend it upon the people who are tortured by the tyrant leadership. Optimism is like sanctuary where all the people will take refuge into it. The people who are under pressure, under torture, under displacement. Optimism is a support that Allah gave it to the people who believe in His messengers and prophets. Optimism is love that Allah plants it inside the hearts and the mind and the soul of the people who follow you and listen to you. Optimism is motivation by which we can change societies and remove tyranny. Optimism is an energy given to the needy and the weak to be empowered and to enable them to destroy the idols of ignorance, discrimination, and corruption and hatred. Optimism is goodness. Allah only gave it to the people who have in their hearts and their intent the dimension of such goodness. Optimism is a treasure. Allah only gave it to those who became patient and show perseverance when they were under pressure, under torture. Optimism is exerted effort, is wise opinion, is gentle feeling, is the elevated pride and honor of the individual. It is the good reminder and good says. Optimism also is the construction, is the suffering, is happiness, and is existence. These are the meaning of optimism, and these are some of the outcomes of optimism. So we cannot afford to live without being optimistic. Optimism is dignity and pride. Dignity and pride. Refusal, you say no, and glory. Sacrifices and giving. Expenditure and generosity. This is optimism. Optimism is humility and being humble, mixing with poor people, mixing with displaced people, mixing with women, with widows and orphans, and the sick, and the refugees. Optimism is faith, awareness, action, reliance on Allah, then uplifting your society, your community, and your nation. Optimism is grace, as I said before. Grace, gift, favor. Grace, gift, favor, distinction. Grace, gift, favor, distinction. Elevation. Allah gave it only to the sincere ones of His slaves like yourself. Optimism is a beauty. Beauty that you can see when you look at the beautiful creation of the universe of Allah. Not only that, it is the comfort in your conscience, the comfort of your conscience, the purity of your intent, the elevation of your soul, and the satisfaction of your heart. The comfort of your conscience, purity of your intent, elevation of your soul, and the satisfaction of your heart. We have to be optimistic no matter. We should be optimistic. Optimistic also is this longing. You see this long, oh, I want to see them. I want to be with them. Optimism also is this kind of eagerness to accompany them. I want to accompany him or her. Optimism is a desire to look at your good people and you look at them, Bismillah, mashallah. They are a different world. Optimism is tendency to become close to the people that you love and love to serve. Optimism is yearning to meet them, to be with them, to close to them. Optimism is fancy, they're fancying. Fancy the fancy of Allah. Fancy the fancy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Optimism is craving to hug those people that you really respect, admire. Cannot control your emotion. Optimism is the affection to live with the people you want to be with. This is optimism. Optimism is the dream of the poor, the happiness of the stranger, the grace and the bounty of the honorable one, the giving of the generous, the maturity of the scholars, the expenditure of the wise people, and the character of the most pious people. These are optimism. These are optimism, or this is the definition of optimism and some of the outcome of optimism. Optimism is determination and resistance, is honor and dignity, chivalry and manhood, steadfastness and consciousness, patience and station, collectiveness of the people from displacement, protection and temper, soul and treasure. All these are optimism. Optimism. We have to be optimistic. Why? To remove the darkness, or to see the darkness of life around you by new eyes. No, it's not dark anymore. It's bright. I can see the nur of life, not the darkness. To remove the darkness, or to change, or to see the darkness light, and see the faraway people very close to you, and see the weak ones amongst you are strong, and the poor are rich, and the sick are cured and healthy, and the elderly one like young people, and the few or the little things, that resources, you see it's plenty, and the void existence. Be optimistic to let the suns of life to rise above you, and to let the darkness of evil to dim and set behind you. To let that Allah let you, by you uplifting or removing all this kind of hardship and tyranny which are affecting people, and let people to be very, very happy when they see you. When we become optimistic, we should be optimistic forever. Don't ever say, I am optimistic on Sunday but not optimistic on Monday. No. Every day I am optimistic. But especially when people turn their back to you, when the enemies collect all the resources to fight you, when you be deserted and left by your beloved ones, your relatives, your friends. When you have no resources, you have to be optimistic. When the depression and pessimism affect a lot of your companions and followers. When all the nations in the world will be coming above you and your nation and your country. When you find that the high rise or the high tide of tyranny, oppression, and torture by these regimes. When you find the spread of the evil power, which when you find the evil power spreads its wings with disgrace, outrageous things, and adultery, and promiscuous sexual behavior. Be optimistic when all the roads will be blocked before you and after you and beside you. Be optimistic when you find the suckling baby's hair become gray. The pregnant creation of God have abortion. The people become confused when they walk on the street and you think that they are drunken and they are not drunken. When you find that the dignified, honorable, trustworthy people being humiliated and the others being respected. When you find that the trustworthy will be called liars and lying, and the cringing individual will be trusted. Be optimistic when you find people making mockery and saying things about your prophets. And those ignorant individuals will be the heroes. Be optimistic when the weak will be ripped of their wealth and their resources and even raped. And the monsters and the wicked ones will be protected. At that time, you have to be optimistic. The first step of being optimistic is you invite Allah to your house. He said, how on earth I invite him to my house and he is in my house 24/7? I said, yes, he is in your house or at your house by his own invitation. He brings his own angel to your house, but you did not invite him. I said, oh, is there a difference? Yes, there's a difference. You invite him when you listen to his words 24/7. Switch on the Quran recitation and listen to it whether you understand English or Arabic or not. Whether you are busy listening or listening tentatively to learn. No. Especially this is my call for the sisters. If you are still doing the housework, switch or put the Quran on and listen. It will create a different atmosphere in the house. It will change the culture of the house. It will change the climate of the house and bringing new angels to you. This is the first step of being optimistic, is to invite Allah to your house, to your bedroom, to your car, to your company, to your factory, to your organization. Everywhere he's with you. He'll be very happy because you are listening to him. You must say that Allah said you have to be listening to Quran. Yes, I know. This is the reward. The one who will listen tentatively and have the time to understand and to research will have the higher reward. But the one who using it to change the culture and the climate and the atmosphere around him will have another reward, not as much as the others. Let me, before I end, take you to some of the verses which Allah is affirming His authority. I mentioned the verses and the surah, so you can go back to read it fully. First one, the first 4 verses from Surah Spider. Allah said, Alif Lam Mim, حسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. He said, Alif Lam Mim, ALM. Do you think that you'll be left alone when he says that I'm a believer, oh, torture will happen to you. And this is what happened to the Prophet ﷺ when he went to Sayyidah Khadija, to Warqa ibn Nawfal. And he was telling him, your husband is the new prophet. I wish that I can wait to believe in you and see your people throwing you outside Quraysh. He said, are they going to throw you out of Mecca? He said, yes, they will. Fitna, torture. Then we go to Al-Qasas 71-72. Allah here is making mockery of those disbelievers. You know what he said? Have you seen if Allah make your descend on you the night and let you to live in the darks of night, day and night, till the day of judgment, do you have any other God to bring the brightness of the day for you? You didn't hear me. Then he said again, have you seen if Allah make your life a daylight forever till the day of judgment? Do you have another God to bring the night, the darkness of night, and make you the sleep, give you this peace of mind? Do you have? No, you don't. This is Qasas 71-72. Surah Al-Waqi'ah 57-74. This is another challenge of Allah, that we forget about Him and we become depressed. Allah said at the beginning, 57, we have created you. You don't believe that? We descended Adam to earth. We created earth for Adam. Earth, mountain, river, plants, animals, birds, climate, everything for Adam to live a comfortable. Did Adam create it? No. We have created it. You have to trust us. Then he said again, have you seen the fluid that you put in the womb of your woman, your wife, to have a baby? Did you create it or we created it? Have you seen? Okay. Have you seen what you plant? What you harvest? Have you planted it or we did? Who make the soil? Who created the earth for the soil? Who descend the water from the sky for the soil? Who created the seed which is given to you to put in the soil? Then let the seed to become vegetation, then become tree. Did you plant it or we did it for you? You know these rivers? You know these oceans? Did you descend the water from the sky or we did? You know this fire? Did you create this tree or we did? This kind of sarcastic criticism to those people who claim that Allah does not exist. Go back to the source of optimism. فسبح باسم ربك العظيم. Then actually refer back and make tasbih to the great Lord of us. Then go to Luqman 34. Allah said, إن الله عنده علم الساعة. He knows the knowledge of the hour. Not only that, and what inside the womb of every pregnant creation of Him. And none of you know what they are going to earn tomorrow, and none of you know where they're going to be dead. When and where. Luqman 34. Luqman 26-28. Allah said, لله ما في السماوات والأرض. For Allah is the kingdom of earth and heaven. And they said, if we collect all the wood from the trees on earth and we change it to pen, or what do you call it, quill pen, okay, then we got the water of the ocean and we supplied this water with 7 oceans water. Then there are 7 oceans. become the water of 8 oceans, and make this water from the ocean, the 8 oceans, inkwell, and use the quill pen to write the names of Allah, the knowledge of Allah. The ink will dry up before the names of Allah has an end, because the names and the knowledge of Allah is endless. It is another challenge from Allah. Go back to Him. He's the source of optimism. Then Allah in Surah Baqarah 155 to 57 said, we are going to test you by fear, hunger, shortage of money, shortage of human resources, shortage of food, but give good tidings, good news to the patient ones. Said, who are the patient ones? The people who are saying all the time, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We are allowed to Allah we belong, Allah is our return. What is the reward for them? أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. Upon them will descend the prayers of Allah, the mercy of Allah, and they are the guided one. In Surah Yusuf 110, Allah said, and this is could be the final verse, said, when the messenger of Allah become tired, become exhausted, lost hope, everybody is calling them liars, everybody is calling them magician, everybody calling them things, calling them names, and said, oh Allah, we're tired, we cannot do anymore. Exactly like what the Prophet ﷺ said during the battlefield of Badr. He said, oh Allah, if this group of people will be killed in this battlefield, you will never be worshipped on earth. آتاهم نصرنا. Allah will bring swiftly His victory. Be patient. Patient and patient. In the battlefield of the parties who came around the Muslims at the time, they were so scared, extremely scared. All the tribes around Mecca came around them. But when the believers saw that, you know what they said? هذا ما وعدنا الله ورسوله. This is Al-Ahzab 25 to 27. هذا ما وعدنا الله ورسوله. This is what Allah and His Messenger promised us. وصدق الله ورسوله. Allah is saying the truth. ما زادهم إلا إيمانا. And this increases their iman and their surrender to Allah. What is the outcome of their acceptance? رد الله الذين كفروا. Allah pushed back those tribes, those parties who came from everywhere in the Arabia. Everywhere. They never attacked the Muslims, the believers. And Allah gave the victory to the Muslims. And Allah led them to inherit their horses, their arms, their lands. And lands that they have never been on it before. This is the message for the people who would like to be optimistic at this very difficult time. Allah is the source. Allah is the refuge. Allah we go back to Him and start with just listening to the recitation. Just listening. Please, for God's sake. Change the atmosphere in the house. You cannot change the climate. You want to change the climate outside? Change the climate in your house first before you change the climate outside. By listening, and inviting Allah to your house. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have to thank our sister, my heroine, Shahin, who gave me this opportunity to talk to you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.